All right, shalom, shalom. This is Brother One coming to the video. Lord was edifying. First and foremost, I want to give our honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem, Rakakadash. Give honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, rule well and teach well. Shalom to the whole like men that scattered abroad, pushing the truth without sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And also shalom to you very few sincere sisters that's taking heed and getting in order in these last days. Right, so the title of this lesson is going. This quick lesson is going to be, where are we? You know, and the Lord gave his secret to his servants, the prophets, the book of Amos 3 and sound, and so where are we? According to the scriptures, we're in the book of Matthew 24, and more books as well, but I just want to bring out this one is what this main one right here, you know, because we've seen the times are coming, we've seen the uproars of the people, we've seen the kingdom against kingdom, you know, and so I just want to just bring this out in the spirit, right? Matter of fact, let me grab that in the book of Amos right quick. This the book of Amos 3, right? And verse 7. And then ultimately you're gonna know a true servant was among you, because we was warning that giving you that certain horn sound to get you ready for the battle, and that major battle is coming up Yahweh Shai, you know, for Yahweh Shai to hit the scene, the hell is finna go through the earth is finna go through a hell like never before, you know. But hey, like I said, the Lord gives us the spirit to to declare where we at within time and how close we are until His return. So this is Matthew 27. It's Amos 33 and verse 7, and I'm reading this out the NLT. It says, "Indeed, the sovereign Lord never does anything until He reveals His plans to His servants, the prophets." Right. So the Lord don't make no move until He what declare it to the servants, the prophets, so what they can go warn the people. All right. That's how gracious the Lord is. Hey, go give them a warning from me. He said it's at the book of Ezekiel. He said it's at the book of Jeremiah. The prophets that have been before me of old prophesied both against many countries of war, evil, and pestilence. He gave them warning, right? He used the servants of prophets to give them warning, right? And when you look at it today, who are the true men that's really warning the people, right? Getting talked about, getting talked down upon, whatever. It's only a certain group of people, right? And through the spirit, we believe that just us prophets, us hopefully like men, start off on our apostles at Great Millstone, man. We warning you whether you want to hear it or not. 'Cause at the end of the day, out of all the counts, just being real, we showing the most love. Because we telling you what it is. We actually warning you. The other camps, hey, they treat you like a dead fish to make you go with the flow, right? Of this world, right? And like I just said, in that little phrase, a dead fish will go with the flow, right? But see, folks getting paid for it, right? So like I said, the title of the lesson is, where are we? You may ask, right? We are in the time of things fastly approaching to Jacob's trouble, right? So let's go back to the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 3. Right, and also we at the end of this rulership, right? Was it in the Greek? Goes into eons. Excuse me. That's what the world means, right? This is where the world in the book of what Matthew 24 and 3, and also in the book of 2nd Ezra 6 and I think it's 9. Excuse me, I think it's 6 and 9. But this is Matthew 24 verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, "Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?" See? So hey, the disciples are already asking Lord Yahweh Shai, hey, when's gonna be the end time? So they can know. Right? And the Lord, hey, when the Lord didn't give them day by day details, but he gave them good, perfect signs to where like, damn, you can't get around that. And that, well, I'm gonna say this, right? He gave them, yeah, good sign they couldn't get around it. And in today's time, hey, we see the same things, man, through the spirit, right? We like, you know what? We know we are within prophecy. Because the Lord said, hey, measure out the time diligently, right? That's why we pushing out more videos than ever, right? Because we know that door is closing, and we're trying to, push push, because we in that final stride of trying to warn the elect and help that last one get sealed. So we pushing, pushing, and pushing because now it's finna close, right? It says, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, right? And we know who's gonna be the ultimate deceiver on this side is Esau Edom, man. Right? Just did a quick lesson on that yesterday when going to deception, going to cunning, skillful, right? And that's what we're going to see in these last days. A man that's trying to, cunningly, you know, uh, deceive you, right? Because we already know how Yahweh is coming. He already gave us the up, right? The up, get the drop. You know what I'm saying? He let us know. He put us on point already, right? So, matter of fact, let's read verse 24 right quick, and I'm gonna come back, right? So we already know what time it is, and we already know that Lord Yahweh got certain things set up in the spirit, and which we're going to speak about when we see these things. This Matthew 24 and 24. AC on, god damn. It went from goddamn 58 degrees to goddamn shit down to 90. This Matthew 24 and 24. For there shall arise false Hamashiachs and false prophets, right? We're seeing those, especially them false prophets, man. Right? We in a time where you can really see who's been a prophet and who's a true prophet of the Lord, and who took the bag, who sold out for money. Teaching the congregation, teaching the congregation false things, man. Right? It's high time of that. You can see it clear as day now. But hey, the Lord said these are signs you got to look out for, right? He said, for there shall arise false Hamashiachs, right, false anointed ones, and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, right? Especially Esau Edom, they trying to show all these great things, especially in regards to MOTB, man. Right? They trying to show you that they got these beautiful wonders, these miracles, right? They coming in that they trying to come in that light, man. And you must be aware, and that's why we teach about this each and every time we get the chance to, man. Because at the end of the day, it goes back to getting that blood off our hands, right? Excuse me. Park right quick. It says, and in so much and wonders, and so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Right? So if it was possible, they shall deceive the very elect. That's why we say, hey, we not ignorant of Satan devices. We know about these things. We know how he's coming. Right? So if it was able, they shall if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Right? Right? That's why I say, hey, don't let nobody deceive you, man. And that's what we've been doing ever since. We've been teaching what was taught, man. You know, we ain't changing up, right? Because once you start changing up, that goes to show you your doctrine had holes in it. You know, MOTB doctrine is always been solid. It's been this. It's been that microchip. It ain't been changing up like camps like IUIC, or you got some camps that only believe in it, and well, IUIC, I don't believe in it at all. But other camps, it's changing up over time. You right? Verse 5, for many shall come in my name, saying, I'm Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. Right? You got niggas on AI chariots thinking they made it already. Right? You got men of head men of different camps, thinking they didn't made it. Really, they think they Lord Yahweh themselves, how they boast themselves up. Right? And like, hey, this being real, like Kim, like IUIC, man, hey, them folks praise that man. They head, right? And they're gonna deceive many. Right? And it's more people that come that try to act like they Yahweh Shai, man. But hey, it's gonna deceive many. That's the point. It's saying ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right? It says, and ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. Right? We seeing how it is getting down with Donald Trump and Putin, man. right? And other nations, you know, what I'm saying, they're getting in that battle spirit, right? They're getting ready for war, right? But it says, but the end is not yet, because why we know that our major prophecy that we have been speaking about is the MOTB, right? Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, right? Going to that mark, right? Because we know that that's going to lead to what? An hour of temptation, right? Which we're fastly approaching, because they finna what? Collapse the society. You know, we're seeing all of these killings that have been happening in the last week. You know, things have been going up. You having troops set up in every state. You know, every little city, you got troops on the ground, right? And you best believe these same troops gonna be the ones that's howling you off, sending you to concentration camps, man. You know, that's why I said at the end is not yet, because that MOTB has to be made mandatory before the end happens, before those nukes get to flying, right? For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, right? And we're seeing that earthquakes been happening in so many places, man. Right? I got to go back through my channel just to look, remember, you know, freshly of where they at, you know, which ones, right? Kind of shooting blanks on, you know, who had just had recent earthquakes, right? But hey, the receipts is there, the videos is there for that, right? But so it says, so nation shall rise against nation. Hey, it's even getting bad even in America. You know, the left wing finna rise against the right wing, right? It says if Esau divided against Esau, right? How can this evil is divided against evil? Can't perfect paraphrasing, but you know, hey, it shall not stand. It cannot stand. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Right? That's where we at. We know that all hell has to break loose first in order for them to come in with that new world order, man. Right? So, hey, like I said, hey, this is where we at. Right? We at the brink of all hell gonna break loose. All these are the beginning of sorrows, right? So, like I said, this is just the beginning of sorrows, man. Right? Um, we can keep reading them. See where I'm gonna stop at. I stop at 14, right? Just the point 1 through 14. Right? It says verse 8, then shall they be then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Right? And we already on that list, Akim, you know. This is to us right here. Right? This shall they deliver you up to be afflicted. You know? Right? It says in NLT, then you will be arrested, persecuted, and killed. You know, they're definitely finna come after the tribes, you know, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Natives, right? Finna come after us, right? It's definitely war amongst us, but it's even more towards the elect because, you know, we standing out harder than the tribes is, the rest of the two-thirds, you know? Finna get to that, coming to that time period where it's finna get that back against, finna be pressed against that wall, right? Food famines is definitely on the rise, right? We talk about inflation is going to turn to hyperinflation. Me and beloved brother Kalat was going to a lesson like that, a live like that. I think last week. You know, we went into that. What is inflation? What is hyperinflation, man? See, inflation is something that can be controlled, right? Hyperinflation, you cannot control that. You cannot adapt to being in the hyperinflation state. You know, so that means that a lot of people are wanting to eat in these days, man. But the food is too high, right? And hey, scriptures talk about how they're gonna be eating in measure, right? And when they can't eat, guess what they're gonna do? Hopefully, like, our face is gonna be up across, you know, the America. If you can find these niggas, hey, we'll feed you. So, hey, best believe your family's finna give you up, whether you want to believe it or not. Thinking, oh, that's my baby, that's my little cupcake, whatever. Motherfucker gonna turn your ass in. Goddamn daughter gonna turn your ass in. Son gonna turn your ass in. Especially if they don't believe, you know. Dad gonna turn you in. That's just the reality, right? You're gonna be persecuted. You will be arrested, right? Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 2 and 10, right quick. Because, hey, even though, you know, that happened, hey, we ain't worrying about nothing. You know, we ain't worrying about nothing, right? It's Revelation 2 and 10 in the NLT. It says, don't be afraid of what you're about to suffer, right? It says the devil will throw some of you into prison to test you, right? Because all through it all, this is the Lord testing us, man. Right? But He's gonna use His sword. Esau, Edom. You see where we at mentally, spiritually, right? Like I said, hey, we're gonna be persecuted. We're gonna be arrested. We're gonna be inside these concentration camps. Man. Some of us will, But if that's your lot, hey, man, hold it down. End of the day, just understand that you're working for a prize. You're working for a crown. You know. But this is where we at, right? It says, don't be afraid what you're about to suffer, right? And hey, man, we already been suffering. Might as well go and suffer a little bit longer, man. It all gonna pay out, right? Scriptures talk about, hey, this is your light affliction. I think it's 2 Corinthians 4:17, right? If not, First Corinthians 4:17. But this is a light affliction, man. Being in the concentration camp, light affliction, right? And niggas say he gonna kill you. Oh well, right? Lord said, hey, it's better to be scared of the one that can kill the body and the flesh than the one that can just kill the flesh, right? So hey, it is what it is. Like I said, this is where we at for the non-believers and also within the circumcision. This is where we at, man. Some of us will be in them concentration camps, but think about it, it's about enduring to the end. Scriptures talk about inside the same chapter, if I'm mistaken. Uh, Matthew 24, my bad. About he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. Ah, shit. All right. It says, keep reading on. He said, the devil will throw some of you into prison to test you, right? With the MOTV is going to be on the table. That's what we're going to test you with. You want your kids back. You got to take this. You got to take this chip. You want some food. You got to take this chip. You want to be a part of society again. You got to take this chip. If not, you're going to remain inside that concentration camp until the time they're ready to behead you. Right? We in the time. You about to really see this man's horns, man. You about to really see this white man in his full form. That he really never gave a fuck about you, right? It says you will suffer 10 days, right, which will be a completed time of days, man, a completed number of days. Like I said, you may be in that motherfucker 3 days, and you be like, you know what, he ain't listening, guillotine his ass. He might be in that bitch a whole 20. Hey, stay down, endure. You might get hungry. Hey, we already seen it before. I think it was Daniel, and how the angel, brought him food, man. Right there in the cell. Here you go. Right? You gotta hold it down, man. This is where we at. We in a time of what? Also, miracles is finna happen. Beautiful miracles, right? The book of Isaiah 59:19. When so shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, he shall lift up a standard against him. That standard going to what? Spiritual powers, right? When you go into the blue letter, going to what? To flee, escape, to disappear, right? You don't think the Lord can just make you disappear with the angel while you just eating some food, then boom, you finally reappear, you know, full as hell, and you just still sitting inside the cell, just to hold it down, right? The Lord finna get in His bag, man. Like I said, so when to do this the time we're in the time of the Lord is finna show beautiful miracles alongside with Esau Edom. It's finna turn the fuck up, man. Right? Scripture talk about in the book of Revelation 12:12. I'm gonna come back to that. 12:12. Hey, he at the end of his kingdom, right? So you already know he not going down without a fight, especially amongst the elect. That's what he want. He trying to prove he got something to prove. Your elect ain't fucking with you for real. That's what he's trying to prove to the Lord. He finna make in his mind he wants you to submit to his new system. That's the only way he'll be able to what keep his rulership even longer, right? But like the scripture says, I have 7,000 men that will not bow to the image of all. Right? He reserved 7,000 men, Salaki, right? Because they what? A certain group of men that thou walk. Lord willing, we're part of that remnant. Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devils come down unto you having great wrath, because he know that he have a short time. Right? He have a short time in his rulership, so why he got to go ahead and start pulling his cards, man? Right? That would say the end is not yet, because hey, we got to see a lot more things, man. We got to see Jacob's trouble in full fledged. We got to see martial law. We got to see the beheading. We got to see people actually taking that chip, man. Your loved ones taking that chip, man. Right? So let me go back to that Revelation 2:10, because this is heavy at the end. It says, I read from the top in the NLT, don't be afraid of what you're about to suffer, right? The Lord, that's off the muscle. You should already understand. Don't be afraid. The forefathers, the prophets of old, was not afraid. Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, the seven brothers, they already said, we rather die than transgress the law. And hey, man, you gotta be in that same spirit now, right? Because the Lord's with us wherever we go, right? So why the fuck should you be scared? This encouragement right here, though. Don't be afraid, because it's finna get ugly. We ain't saying cap you down, right? It's finna get ugly. It's finna get real dark looking. But Scripture says, 1 Corinthians 5:7. For we walk by faith and not by sight. You know, that's the main thing right there. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Right? Faith, I'm a one. You know, Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. We know the Lord going to intervene at the perfect time. We know it's finna get ugly, but that faith, man, is going to keep you stable. Right? It says, don't be afraid what you're about to suffer. The devil will throw some of you into prison to test you. And well, hey, no test, no testimony. Keep that in mind. You will suffer for 10 days, but if you remain faithful, even when facing death, I will give you the crown of life. See that? And that's a beautiful exchange. You mean to tell me that quick death can give me a crown? Fuck it, let's do it. You know, you gotta be ready to lose it all to gain it all. That is your spirit. You gotta be in. You gotta be ready to lose it all to gain it all. Matter of fact, with that being said, let me grab this one. This is one of my favorites right here. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 19. I read from 28. It says, excuse me, and Yahweh said unto them, verily I say unto you, that which ye have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Right? So and that's a beautiful exchange, right? You stayed down and you was the elect, man, right? Every generation you came back and you followed the Lord, man, right? So on this last go round, this last suffering, right, is gonna lead you to what? Being the elect, man. You judging the 12 tribes, man, right? Right. But this right is the point right here. It says, verse 29, and everyone that have forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive an hundredfold, and shall inherit everlasting life. Right. Hey, going back to the book of Job, man. Right. He lost it all, man. He didn't. He didn't. He didn't let nothing stop him. And the same thing for us. Us hopefully let. You know. You gotta love this place. You got ready to lose everything, so what you can gain it all, right? You don't think Job is finna get his? He said a hundredfold, man, right? It says, but many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Hey, kind, we down should believe that, because we know we got the bottom right now. But hey, man, he said he gonna use the poor to confound the wise, man. you know, so we ain't really worried about too much, right? But back into it, like I said, the title, excuse me, is where we at. This is where we at, man. This is like, hey, man. I like to quote the Apostle Bar, man. You can ignore reality if you want to, but you can't escape the consequences from ignoring reality, right? Um. So yeah, and all of that was just branched off of verse 9 of Matthew 24, right? So you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake, right? We're gonna be even more hated amongst our own, man, right? Scripture says, a man's foe shall be there of his own household. Then it's in the book of Matthew 24, Matthew 34. What was it? I think it's 10 and 34, right? Verse 10, and then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And that's the time we in coming into, man. You finna see a lot of backdoing. You finna see a lot of fallouts, right? You finna see a lot of people turning away from Yahweh Shem Yahushua, That's the time we in. That's why we gotta definitely be circumspect, right? We in a time of great sifting more than ever, right? A lot of people will be falling, putting down the plow at the finish line. That's just the reality to it. You know, a lot of these things will make sense when you see camps not teaching the name of the Lord no more. You know, not telling you the prophecies. You know, not telling you that going into the Greek and the Hebrew doesn't matter, right? Excuse me. A lot of them gonna turn away from the Lord in at the last seconds, man. Right? I think that's stated in the book of um I think it's Second Peter 3. Yep. Excuse me. Read inside the NLT. You should know this, Timothy, right? And we in the spirit of Timothy as well. You know, because he's speaking to us. It's really putting us on game, right? It says that in the last days there will be uh, there will be very difficult times, right? And inside the KJV it says perilous time, right? Dangerous times, man. That's tough, man. Right? Let's keep reading. It says for people who will love only themselves, right? Let's talk about the camp of IUIC, right? The dude Nate, man. I mean, he only love himself, man. He don't care about killing the whole congregation, man. And that's selfish. Here you are. We're supposed to be a watchman, but here you have it. This man's so selfish and greedy. He don't want to watch. He don't want to bark when things are in motion. Intruder are moving around the house. You know, he's not doing. He's not making no. He's not letting no congregation know, man. Right? That's being lawful. Selfish of yourself. For people who love only themselves and their money. See, and it's the love of money is the root. Right? Money itself is not evil, but the love for it. You're gonna see that in these last days, man. Like I said, for this man to have shit, probably a million fucking people in his congregation, and you ain't telling them the truth, man. You got hella blood on your hands, man. Sakari, all them counts, man. All them counts that want to be in the limelight so much, man. Hey, excuse me. You can tell, hey, and they learn from the apostles, but it just wasn't of them to be with us in these last days, right? Those are the examples, right? Those are the examples of what being covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, right? Cussing out the apostles, proud. You can't tell them nothing. They boast, right? Blasphemers, they downplaying, Apostle Paul, when Apostle Paul wrote, man, dang near the whole New Testament, but the man words not authoritative, right? Hey, this is what's gonna happen inside these last days. This is where we at, right? And Lord willing, you can see these things and gravitate towards this true doctrine, man, right? Of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, which he gave to the apostles of Great Millstone on down, right? So let me go back. Hurry up and close this on out. This is where we at, man. Right? Matthew 24:12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Right? Especially with this incident that you seen in Charlotte, North Carolina. You know, which we believe that it was fake. But when it was first presented, you were just like, well, god damn, boy, Jake just got some straight demons. But when we was that frame by frame, don't be lying sometimes, man. So we were just seeing a lot of things, coming out after the situation. It looked like it was a setup, but I mean, even outside of that, you got a lot more that's going on to where the love of many shall wax cold, right? You got a lot of killings, right, of the parents to the daughter or the children. I'm talking about infants, 10-year-olds, And vice versa, man. Right? It says, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And the Lord is putting us down, man. He that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. So we must think upon that. We must understand, like we must endure. It ain't no, oh, all right, the Lord done gave me a good little job. I'm just got to chill out and work this right here. Now you gotta endure to the end. You know, you gotta, and to the Lord call you home, or you getting beamed up, you gotta keep going. You know, verse 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come. And that's heavy too, because why you think so much stuff is going down? Because what? Hey, the gospel's around the four corners of the earth, man. You know, so that means, with that being said, we know the grace period is going to close, right? So if you're a so-called Negro, Latino, Native, hey, it's time for you to be coming back to this truth, man. Hope you how about Shemi Awashai, you know, because it will be a time period where all hell will break loose, and that'll be your cue of the grace period has closed, and you won't be able to repent and come into the Lord, right? You'll be stuck on the side of how them people was on Noah's Ark. You'll be on the outside, right, getting ready for that flood, right? And we know that this time that flood will be the thermonuclear missiles, right, being shot off from all throughout all the earth, coming to Babylon the Great, right? I'm gonna read this one last scripture in the book of Second Ezra chapter 9, and I'm gonna close out. Second Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it's the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Right? And that main thing I want to grab, and I'm gonna just close out from right now. I'm reading all the way down the verse sound. But was he said, measure thou the time diligently. That's why I want to title the lesson. Hey, where are we? You know? Well, us true servants of the prophet, true servants of Yahweh Shem Shai, we can tell you where we at. You know, we in the book of Matthew 24, second of chapter 9, 15, 16. You know? We're literally in the mix of prophecy right now. Revelation 13, you know? He said, measure, hey, get that diligent watch, pay attention, and warn them. Blow that certain horn to let them know where we at and show them the proof. See? And that's the beauty of it. We can show the proof. Uh, 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 Habakkuk, the second chapter in the NLT, right? Verse 2, you know, talks about make it plain upon the table so you can run the correct message, you know? So let them know. You got to have that correct message. Excuse me. Verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest what? To be made known. Right? We're seeing these things being made known right before our eyes. Right? Verse 6, and that's it. It says, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, and endings and effects and signs. See? Going back to Matthew 24, man. It's all tying in. Right? He said have plain beginnings. Right? And the ends, you're gonna see the effects of the end. You're gonna be made known. It's like, all right, yeah, we at the end for sure. He already gave us the blueprint, he already gave us tips of what the end gonna look like, man. You got troops getting ready to what? Patrol the cities, right? If you read further down inside second chapter 15, it talks about how a man shall desire to go into a city. What is that? That's martial law, you know? But this is where we at, and Lord willing, you know, this lesson was edifying. I'm gonna give honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, by Shem Kakadash. Shalom to hopefully elect. Hey, till next time, Shalom.